Hare Krishna Krishna His divine grace, please see. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gora Prahladananda, Slava Krishna, Slava Shri Guru, Shri Gora. Namo Shivara Krishna Prasada Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gora Bhaktivedanta Nirvisheka, Anybody, Prastakadi. Om Agyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Surmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Vedamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sarvadatam Sahana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vrijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabada Gate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Bhaktavamsa Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Siddhadevi Pranamamiri Priye Vakshakalpa Trubhyascha Vipasindhudevacha Bhajidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadhar Srivasadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 So I'm going to read from the Nectar of Instruction again. This is chapter 8. Chapter 5. Krishna Diyasa Giridham Manasadriyeta Dikshasti Chet Panikidi Sivaita Iksham Shushu Shaya Bhajana Vigyam Ananyanya Yendati Sunna Hridaya Ipsita Sangalabhya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who's advanced in undeviated devotional service, and his heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So please repeat. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. True Prabhupada's purport. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with capital discrimination. So, As Prabhupada will explain in this particular verse, that our spiritual advancement depends upon becoming expert in the 6 loving exchanges, namely Vedati, Pratigrinati, Buddham Akiti Prichyati, Bhukte Bodhayate Jaiva, Shadidam Pratilakshana. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, and inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, did I say accepting prasad already?
No.
No. Accepting prasad and offering prasad. These are the 6 exchanges that the devotees have, loving, priti purvaka, with love. So our process is bhakti, which is love. But to learn love, we have to learn it from someone who has love. And therefore, it mentions here, Ananya, Anya. Ananya means consistently, always. Nindati Sunya, Hridaya Ipsita Sangalavya. In other words, we have to see good examples of loving exchanges, and we have to know what is the principles behind the good examples of loving exchanges. So those are expert that we take in our society. The most expert is Srila Prabhupada in terms of loving exchanges. That our whole society was created on the basis of loving exchanges, but they were intelligently done. Prabhupada didn't treat, although it is said that pure devotee sees everyone equally. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavihastani Shuni Chaiva Svapake Cha Pandita Samdarshana. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, they see with an equal vision the dog, the elephant, the cow, and the dog eater. But that doesn't mean that they necessarily treat everyone exactly the same. Just like Lord Krishna, He's in everyone's heart. But ye tamam prapadyante. Krishna doesn't say, I see everyone equally, and therefore I treat everyone equally. In one sense, He says that He treats everyone equally. And then He says He doesn't treat everyone equally. Everyone who's not a devotee, according to their activities, He reciprocates. But everyone who's a devotee, then He takes special care of them. So Krishna doesn't see everyone equally. When He comes, He doesn't protect the demons and annihilates the devotees. He discriminates. Here's a demon, here's a devotee. The devotee I dance with, and the demon I annihilate. So even Krishna has discrimination. What to speak of an ordinary living entity? But Krishna's discrimination is all beneficial, is all positive. So that we have to learn loving relationships where we see everything positive. Actually, everything is positive. We just don't necessarily see things as they really are. For instance, we can see, one time Srila Prabhupada was talking with Sri Damodar Maharaj, and they were talking about how in certain parts of the world people are starving. So Prabhupada could see things from many different parts of angles of view, points of view. And one point of view he saw was that actually it's good for them that they're starving. He said, just like, for instance, if you go to a hospital, that many patients there are fasting. They're forced to fast. But that's actually good for them. If people are sinful and they do impious activities, and therefore they accumulate a certain mentality. Because it's not just the sinful activities that we get that causes problems. It's the mentality behind the sinful activity. We sometimes suffer more from our mentality than we do from the reaction to our mentality. So therefore, when one has a sinful mentality and he performs sinful activities, even when he stops the sinful activity, he still has a sinful mentality. And therefore one is suffering. We may be born in a certain situation, and therefore why should we put into a position of suffering? Because we don't know why we're suffering. Just like if someone does something wrong last year, you take a stick and start beating them. The first thing they ask is, why are you beating me? Well, you did this last year. Well, why didn't you beat me last year? Why are you waiting so long? Why are you waiting so long? Well, actually, Krishna doesn't wait very long. The material nature doesn't wait. It's just that we're getting beaten so all the time. And therefore it takes a while to our being beaten. What we do today, what sinful activity someone does today, it'll take him a while before he can receive the reaction, because he has so many other reactions coming to him in the meantime. In any case, if one is in a difficult position, that difficult position will help rectify their mentality. How they do it, that's up to Yamaraj, that's up to Krishna. Exactly what difficulty will rectify what mentality. Just like it is said that if someone likes to run naked, nowadays becoming naked is becoming more common. Some years ago, there was something called streaking. You've heard of streaking? At a big public event, say there was a graduation, so one or two people would be naked and they'd run for the event. So the President of the United States is speaking, everyone's watching, and suddenly some naked person runs by. The attention is somewhat shifted. So there must have been a lot of naked people in the past, because if you look around, one of the reactions of being naked is that in your next lifetime, you might get the body of a tree. And as we look around here, there are many trees. So this is Miss America, Playboy Centerfold, 1967. You can tell by the leaves. And that's the Centerfold in 1968 over there. There is Mr. Streaker. He ran by the presidential inauguration. So women have to get that body and stand there naked. Look at me. Unfortunately, one has to stand there in the summer, in the winter, when it's freezing cold. No one has ever put a blanket on a tree that I know of. Oh, this poor tree, save the tree, be kind to the tree. Sometimes people carve initials into the tree. I love so-and-so. And the tree says, I hate both of you. So one will have to get the reactions, and part of the reactions will help rectify the sinful mentality. So at least one will become humble, that I'm not the Lord of the world. And whatever I was doing in so-called enjoying the material world didn't result in what I thought it was going to result in. Therefore it takes some intelligence to understand things properly. And therefore, in this verse especially, Srila Prabhupada will explain how we can, under the guidance of superior authority, how we can learn how to engage in loving reciprocations in such a way that we don't become disappointed. Because we can take someone as a great devotee, and of course every devotee is great. Here in this verse, everything is very positive. But we may render a lot of service to someone, and because they may not be on the level that we might expect them to be, or think they are, because we lack proper discrimination. Therefore, we may invest a lot of love, a lot of energy, a lot of time in someone, and then later on we become disappointed. On the other hand, there may be someone who's worthy of our time, our attention, to take as an example, and we may neglect them as being insignificant and unworthy of our service and attention. Therefore, we should know who to respect, for instance, within the mind, as explained in this verse. That is, who to think positively of. Now, we may not want to associate with them very intimately, but there is really nothing gained in criticizing people unnecessarily. If you walk by someone, or that example is used that the two renunciates, they're on a journey and they're about to cross a river. So one very old lady tells one of the renunciates, "Please help me across the river." She says, "No problem." So he puts the old lady on his shoulders, they cross the river, and then the two renunciates continue, and then some distance away, 2 kilometers away, one of the renunciates turns to him and said, "You carried a woman on your back. What did you do?" So the renunciate said, "Yes, that's true. I carried this lady on my back for 100 meters, but you've been carrying her for the last 2 kilometers. So, when we see someone doing something wrong, and there's, in Kali Yuga, practically everyone is doing something wrong. Rather than trying to dwell on what they're doing wrong, we should try to dwell on what they're doing right. Don't worry, if we don't criticize them, and if we don't try to correct them, someone will come along and criticize them and correct them. There's no problem. It will happen. But we don't have to necessarily be the one who does it. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada was saying that if you're feeling morose, there was a baby, and he was crying. The baby probably said, "Jai, Jai." And he said, if you're feeling morose, that's the sign of lack of Krishna consciousness. In other words, if we put our consciousness in a way that we start getting agitated, we start becoming depressed, we start becoming critical, we start feeling not inspired, whose fault is it? It's our fault. Generally we become uninspired, we look around, oh, look what they're doing, my God, this movement's falling apart. Actually, the movement may not be falling apart, but we're falling apart. Just like Srila Prabhupada in Japan, we had what was called our Namhata movement. It's very nice devotees. They were engaged in collecting huge amounts of money for our Vrindavan project. They actually collected for the Gurukul, built the Gurukul at that time. The only problem is that they got a little into things that they shouldn't have gotten into, which I don't have to go into. But they definitely made a few mistakes there. And they got in trouble with the government. and the government banned the Hare Krishna movement there. But as Srila Prabhupada's godbrother started to criticize Prabhupada, just see, Swamiji, just see his movement, the government even had to ban it. Just see Swamiji's movement. So Prabhupada heard that, he said, yes. He said, they definitely banned our movement in Japan, and my godbrother's criticizing me, but at least I have a movement in Japan. He has no movement in Japan. He did absolutely nothing there. So what is the value of his criticizing? At least I have a movement to be banned. So we have to learn how to see things positively. That famous story that one king, he had one minister. And every time the king said anything, the minister would always say, everything Krishna does is good. So the king was getting a little tired of this. That here is a Hare Krishna. Every time you ask him anything, all he would say is Hare Krishna. Pass the salt, Hare Krishna. He fell off the bridge, Hare Krishna. I'm going to punch you in the face, Hare Krishna. So the king was getting a little upset. This man, my minister, he has nothing else to say but Hare Krishna. Everything that Krishna does is good. So one day, the king was in the forest and he was practicing shooting. So he shot an arrow, he was hunting, but the arrow fell off his quiver and cut his finger off. So he was very upset. And he asked his minister, what should I do? The minister said, don't worry, everything Krishna does is good. What? You rascal! I just cut my finger off. And you're telling me that's good? Well, if you think that everything that Krishna does is good, I'm throwing you into prison. What do you think about that? So the minister said, well, everything Krishna does is good. So the king said, no problem. Into the prison. The king was informed that many of his cows were being stolen by some dacoits, and they were being taken away. So he went out with his army to protect his cows. He got separated from the army, and the dacoits captured him and took him to their hideout, and were going to sacrifice him to Goddess Kali. They bathed him, they fed him, they prepared him for the sacrifice. And they took the dagger, the axe, and were about to chop his head off in front of the deity. And then the head priest said, wait, wait. And everyone looked. What's the problem? Look at this man. He only has 9 fingers. He's not worthy to be sacrificed to the Goddess Kali. Throw him out of here. Sorry, guy. You don't qualify. They threw him out. Get out of here. Get another finger. So he made it back to the kingdom and went to the prison and released his minister. And he said, yeah, you're right. Everything Krishna does is good. But I only have one doubt. It was so fortunate that my finger got cut off. That saved me. Krishna saved me. But what about you? Why did he have me throw you in jail? He said because if I wasn't in jail, I would have been hunting with, I would have been protecting the cows with you. And since you got caught by the dacoits, I would have been caught also. Now they would have looked at you and thrown you out, but I had 10 fingers. I would have been sacrificed to the goddess Kali. So everything Krishna does is good. So that doesn't mean that everything is equally good. But everything has a plan behind. Krishna has a plan for whatever he does. For the devotee, when he puts the devotee in suffering, then the devotee is inspired to take shelter of Krishna. And that's very good. When he gives the devotee material opulence, like he did with Sudama Vipra, then the devotee has a better opportunity to serve Krishna. So that's also good. So in any circumstance, it's good. Now, what's not good, say for instance, if I'm a prophet as Sahajya, and my activities, I chant Hare Krishna, but at the same time, I smoke ganji, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Now, my chanting of Hare Krishna is very good. My smoking marijuana is not very good. Therefore, I get some benefit, perhaps, by chanting Hare Krishna, if it's not full of offenses, but I get some reaction from smoking marijuana. Now, I should think, oh, this man is chanting Hare Krishna is good. Oh, he's also smoking marijuana. Everything Krishna does is good, so maybe I can chant Hare. I'll follow the example. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. One to understand one's capacity to, what is ultimately good is that he's chanting Hare Krishna, so we respect such a person within the mind. But because they're smoking ganji, or ganga, what do they call it? Ganja. Because nowadays the ganji is in front of my forest. It's probably so toxic that you can probably take a scoop of it and smoke it also, get intoxicated. Ganja. So now we respect it in the mind, but we don't intimately associate with such a person. So we can see from Srila Prabhupada's example that he respected his godbrothers, but when they didn't actually allow him, for instance, to preach freely, then he respected them, but he took a distance from them. And at the same time, cooperation with those who are spreading Krishna consciousness. We're not going to spread Krishna consciousness effectively by ourselves, so we have to find devotees that we can cooperate with. And here it says, worshiping the temple. And we can see from Srila Prabhupada's example that from the very beginning of the movement, he tried to create a temple, 26 Second Avenue. Even before that, he was in the Bowery, and he was trying to educate, I forget his name now. I don't remember if it was Dave or someone who had taken some interest in the Hare Krishna movement, and he began to instruct him and live with him. He lived with Carl Jurgens for some time, who became, I forget his name, it's not Umapati, it's something like Kalyapati. And Prabhupada trained people how to worship the deities. As soon as he got to 26 Second Avenue, there was some kind of worship going on. Even Prabhupada taught the devotees who were living at 26 Second Avenue, when they get up, they had to take a shower. And so in the morning, everyone at 5 o'clock, there was only maybe 5, 6 devotees. Some of my friends were living there at that time, 26 Second Avenue. And they said, well, anyhow, everyone lined up to take a shower, and Prabhupada lined up with them. Because they had no idea that they were supposed to let Prabhupada go first. So Prabhupada didn't take the shower first, so he took shower whenever the line stuff, or whenever his place on line came up. We used to cook for the devotees at 22nd Avenue at the beginning. He used to serve, and then when they all left, he used to clean up. So this is called cooperation. I don't know how many of us could be so cooperative. And then spontaneously, someone like Kirtananda became, he saw, here's Swamiji, he's over 70 years old, he's cooking for us, he's serving us, he's cleaning up after us. The only thing he's not doing is moving our jaws up and down so we can chew the food. Everything else he's doing for us. So he volunteered to also cook. And then after some time, Kirtananda got some also assistance, and then began to cook also. They used to assist, and then Prabhupada could do other things. So in the temple, we're practicing serving the deities, even we have a picture, or even there is no picture. The holy name is the deity. And outside, we cooperate by going on Harinam or book distribution, and we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Sankirtan movement. But that takes devotees to cooperate. Someone is singing, and someone is listening. Someone is playing mridanga, someone is playing cartels, someone is distributing books. And that takes cooperation. Just for someone to cook the food, prasada when we come back, someone to drive the car out, someone to print the books, someone to bring the instruments. It all takes cooperation. In the material world, people cooperate easily because they get paid. They get paid to cooperate. No one pays to cooperate. But Srila Prabhupada used to say that these boys and girls, I'm an old man, I have nothing to give them. I haven't come from India giving them anything, at least material. But still, they're coming and they're giving me. I haven't come here to take from them, but still they're giving me, and I'm giving them something spiritual. And part of that is the ability to cooperate. Something to cooperate for where you don't have to be paid for it. Some higher principle. Cooperate to serve to please Krishna, especially Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If he's pleased, then we'll be pleased. We'll actually be pleased. The soul will be pleased, and other people will be pleased also. And we're learning this from great devotees, such as Srila Prabhupada. And we also learn from the examples of those who are following Srila Prabhupada, following the instructions of the Acharyas. They become manifestations of the words of the Acharya, which are not different from the Acharya. Srila Prabhupada said that this movement is Krishna incarnated. If you want to see Krishna, just look around you. These are Krishna's energies. Krishna's incarnating as this Hare Krishna movement. So if we see, for instance, someone may go on Harinam and cooperate, and they may not sing in pure love of God, and therefore we may see on that level, but because we see they're singing under Prabhupada's directions, therefore we know they're actually acting as an instrument for Krishna, and that Krishna is behind this whole thing. So when we see Krishna within this movement, someone else may be chanting, and they may not be remembering Krishna in the same way that we may be remembering, just by appreciating how they're chanting. So Krishna is there in the holy name, Krishna is there in the Sankirtan movement. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there in the Holy Name. He's there in the Sankirtan movement. And if we appreciate how this is coming from Krishna and his acharyas, then we'll also become elevated to a higher level of consciousness. Krishna consciousness. So this is an art of learning how to live life by putting the words at first of the acharyas within our heart, and then the acharya, whenever the acharya is there, his assistants are there also. And their instructions, and then after some time we'll remember their forms, their qualities, their past, their activities. It's much easier to have faith, for instance, in Srila Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, so we have some faith. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, but we don't know anyone who saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we know devotees who have seen Srila Prabhupada. And Krishna came 5,000 years ago. So we have faith in Krishna, but it's easier to have faith in Srila Prabhupada. And it's easier to have faith in the manifestations of Srila Prabhupada when we have direct association with them. For instance, if someone is very kind to us, or if someone is very ecstatic, or if someone is able to do extraordinary things in terms of preaching, then we can understand that this is a manifestation of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And therefore that we develop more faith in Srila Prabhupada, and by developing faith in Srila Prabhupada, then we develop faith in Lord Chaitanya, in our acharyas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore we develop faith in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we develop faith that Krishna actually is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That these devotees, they utilize their energies in Krishna's service, and they became ecstatic. And they're able to make other people ecstatic too. And therefore the Hare Krishna movement spread. So Prabhupada says we have to learn these loving exchanges and how to intelligently apply them within our lives. And they should be done under the guidance of the acharyas and those who are following the acharyas, and therefore repeating the same instructions and manifesting the same examples. Of learning to respect devotees within the mind, who are chanting Hare Krishna, learning to cooperate with other devotees who are trying to serve in the temple, worship the deities, and at the same time spread the Hare Krishna movement, and who can recognize who's more elevated than they are and follow in their footsteps and appreciate them as guides and examples in their lives to make further advancement in Krishna consciousness. So those who give initiation within our society, those who are able to capture the faith of the devotees within our society, that faith should be distributed by teaching their followers and disciples how to properly discriminate between different classes of devotees, so that the devotees know how to give their love and service appropriately. And therefore that love in our society will increase and will not be deviated by disappointment. Instead, it will simply constantly increase, and that is the potency of our society. That's how people will become attracted to it and join. The more people see how devotees are working cooperatively under the guidance of perfect knowledge, but that perfect knowledge is not simply that Krishna is God or that we're His eternal servants. That perfect knowledge is how to love Krishna and how to love all His servants, which includes everyone, appropriately. The science of how to develop our loving propensity, our service propensity, so that we become ecstatically happy forever. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Wala. Vitanya.
Thank you for the lecture. I have one question regarding the 6 exchanges of love. As I see it, the most difficult are relationship between devotees and other living beings. To take prasadam is quite easy, To accept gifts also, I don't see big problems. The most difficult for me is, for sure, relationship, not only with devotees, also to other living beings. To always see that Krishna is behind everything. And I don't know, maybe you can elaborate and give us some help, pointers, how to do it the right way.
The only way we can act, well, it's easier when we're doing a service together and we're dependent on each other for the service. Then it's easier to see positively our relationship with each other. Easier to remember Krishna, that we're both serving Krishna together, and that it's easier to cooperate, especially when service is interdependent. When it's not, then it takes some practice, but we should realize we should be practicing. In other words, the tendency in the material world is to forget. And one of the things we forget is the skills and relationships in Krishna consciousness. Because unfortunately, most of us were not trained up in the beginning of our lives how to see everyone and everything in relation to Krishna and deal with them in that way. And therefore we have habits of dealing with other living entities in ways which are less than loving exchanges to please Krishna. So that will take some filling in. In other words, in sadhana bhakti, there has to be some space in our existence so that loving relationships are practiced. For instance, the simplest loving relationship that we're practicing is that when someone is chanting and I'm listening. So that's a loving relationship. And it becomes even more loving when I appreciate what they're singing and the singer also has an opportunity to listen and develop appreciation and love for those who are singing. And even if the love, we may not think I'm feeling so much in my heart, so much ecstasy, as soon as it starts kirtan, I fall on the floor and start rolling as a pure love and ecstasy. But simply by listening, it's love. We can't listen to anyone we hate. Matter of fact, we can't even listen to people we're not interested in. And apparently we're listening, but actually we're thinking about what to say after they stop speaking. We're just counting. 5 seconds left. Yes, 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Excuse me, I hate to interfere. I hate to interrupt. You've been speaking for 30 seconds. That's the limit, boy. You've got buzz.
I have to shoot now.
And we start talking, and he's thinking 29, 28. So just to actually listen to someone requires a bit of appreciation that they might have something to say that might be valuable to them. Otherwise, why would we listen? Therefore, if someone's chanting Hare Krishna, and we appreciate that they're chanting, Krishna is present now, Srimati Radharani is present, and therefore we listen, that's a loving exchange. And so, in the beginning, it's confined to, say, the temple, or hopefully to our home in the morning, evening, we chant Hare Krishna together, whatever, it's confined to our sadhana. But later on, when we become purified, then we become inspired to perhaps sometimes go on Buddhist fusion or Harinam, and therefore it expands. We have more consistent association with Krishna in that way, and more consistent loving exchanges with the devotees. And as we become further purified, then we start seeing things more consistently, and our relationships become more naturally inclined towards tolerance and appreciation and thoughtfulness. So many different qualities develop in our relationships. So that may take some time. In other words, if we just follow this process and learn what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and try to be a little thoughtful the best we can, then in the course of time that thoughtfulness will increase. Even when we're outside of our sadhana, even when we're outside of the association of devotees, still some of these things Krishna will remind me of. And therefore I'll be able to deal appropriately according to the principles of devotional service. Anything else? Yes.
Ja imam jedno pitanje za jučerašnje lekcije, nisam stigao, da li mogu.
There's a question about your yesterday's lecture. If you wanted to, you can ask it now.
Okay.
Na kraju poglavlja koje opisuje život i delatnosti Maharaja Dhruve, što Prabhupada kaže, ako neko od mojih učenika ostane tako moćan kao Dhruva Maharaj, moći će da me odvede na ovaj put. Što Prabhupada je došao nas da izvori. I u tom smislu kako trebamo shvatiti ovu istinu?
At the end of the Bhagavatam chapter, where the activities of Maharaj Dhruva are described, Srila Prabhupada mentions that if one of his disciples becomes pure devotee, he can take Srila Prabhupada back to Vaikuntha. So, what
Powerful. If he becomes so powerful. As Dhruva Maharaj.
As Dhruva Maharaj, he can take Srila Prabhupada back to Vaikuntha. So what should be the proper light in which we can understand this statement by Srila Prabhupada?
Well, Srila Prabhupada is giving us an example of humility. He was giving us a principle. This is coming because his mother, Suniti, went back to Godhead because Dhruva Maharaj went back to Godhead. And so, because Suniti was this Dharma Pradakshina Guru of Dhruva Maharaj, and because Dhruva Maharaj became a pure devotee, his Dharma Pradakshina Guru, Suniti, Shiksha Guru, she also went back to Godhead. So Prabhupada added his humility for saying that if one of my disciples becomes spiritually powerful, they can also bring me back to God. So this is not only humility, but it's also an inspiration for his devotees, his disciples, trying to come up to the same level that Dhruva Maharaj was on. Because that level brings everyone back to God. When it's on that level, they can bring everyone back to God. Thank you very much. Grunteraj Nectar Instruction, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. For Prahladananda.